Well, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? My wife was right. Hurts me to say it, but she was right. I wanted to plant my tomatoes last week, and I was in a hurry to get them in the ground. And she's like, well, no, the weatherman said there might be some frost maybe. And I was like, well, no, it should be okay. It shouldn't get below 37, 38. Well, it got to 36 yesterday for the last time. And now we're clear to plant some tomatoes. So let's go. So a little update here. We bought a little storage shed. I still got to clean it out and organize it, but it's pretty neat. It's just nothing really in here major, just a couple little things. And a place to kind of put all my pots and such for the garden. Just stuff like that. Really just a bunch of junk. Hey there, girl. You ready to plant some tomatoes?
Yeah.
Anyway, I just came in here for the most important part, my little farm out there. And we got to get the ladder too, because these tomatoes are going to be tall. It did, yes. All these little stones and stuff came from the elderly lady that used to own this shed here. She was a master gardener, and she was a really cool lady. And she had all kind of neat stuff in there, so it was pretty cool. Yeah, I got my little helpers out here today. So what I've got is, of course, my ladder. I've got a tape measure, there it is, and I've got my twine, and I've got some organic tomato fertilizer in my truck that I got to get, and then I think we'll be ready, and I'll show you the trellising system that I built. Here we go, guys. I just picked up some basic organic kind of tomato vegetable fertilizer, 364. We're going to see how this does for our tomatoes.
Red's just wondering.
So this year I'm growing indeterminate tomatoes, which means that they are a vining style tomato, and they have to be trellised in a different way than your typical cages. I do have some of the cages here for cherry tomatoes and things like that, but I had to build something very special and very tall for these indeterminate slicing tomatoes. Alrighty, so here's what I've got going. This is the newest garden plot. I've still got some things to do to it to get it ready, but we're going to start the first row off. I've got to cultivate this area a little bit. And as I'm cultivating, I'm going to add in the organic fertilizer. And this is on a 30-inch bed system, just like all the standard market gardening stuff. So we're going to do about 10-inch pathways, maybe 12. And then we're going to do our 30-inch beds. And down the center of these, every 10 feet or so, I've put a 10-foot T-bar post. And I drove it into the ground, had to get up on a ladder and drive it in. And it wasn't difficult, but it was just a little time consuming. Well, then after I got that done, on top of it I put a PVC, this is an 1.25 inch size T, PVC T. This is about $1 and something at Lowe's. And put that on top of the T and kind of taped it on there with some electrical tape. And then I ran 10-foot sticks of rebar all the way across. Then I used electrical tape just to secure them and where they wouldn't move as much. So I did that all the way down this, I believe it's a 40-foot row. I think the side's 40, so, and there you go. So now what we'll do is, every 18 inches, we're going to put a string, run it down to the ground, and then 18 inches out, we'll plant a tomato plant. Every 18 inches, really close spacing, kind of like what you'd see in the greenhouse, from the greenhouse growers. Now if I plant them that closely, I've got to make sure I keep them well fertilized, well watered, and I've got to make sure that I prune them appropriately. I've got to prune off all the suckers, trim off the bottom leaves as they're going up, and I got to take really good care of them, or else they're not going to have enough room. But I'm interested to see at that 18-inch spacing what happens. Once we get them planted, we'll come in and we'll companion plant some purple basil that I got from Baker Creek Seeds. And then we'll plant some marigold seeds as well and let the marigolds come up and grow as well. And then we'll come back once they get established, maybe a week or two, and we'll put some compost. We're going to put a good little inch or two of compost on the 30-inch bed to start building this as a permanent raised bed garden, using our tarp so that we can get away from tillage on this plot as well. So there we go. Let's get to stringing. Alrighty, now before we string, I do have to put this down and cultivate it in. This is smells like manure. It's really awesome. And this is looking like some good stuff. So I'm going to put probably half the bag on that row. It calls for about 6 or 7 cups per row, but I think they're doing single rows, what they're talking about. And I do the 30-inch bed. Of course, I'll have some basil and marigold planted too. So I'm going to feed the entire bed with about half the bag. Alright, now that I've got that fertilizer put down, we're going to use this little bitty Craftsman cultivator, Old Faithful. Well, it hadn't been faithful. Usually I can't get it to start, but hey, we're going to cultivate that in until I get me a good Haas wheel hoe. That's coming up in the future. Come on, stimulus. I tell you something, that cultivator died probably 10 times and I had to keep recranking it and recranking it. And you know what, a Haas wheel hoe? You just push that son of a gun. That's all you got to do. Anyway, I'll get one here soon. Next, I'm going to come back. I've cultivated this area, and I'm going to actually use my handy-dandy landscape rake here, Goliath, my buddy, to rake up a little bit of dirt onto the beds to kind of raise the bed slightly from the pathways. We'll kind of rake up, and then we'll rake the paths nice and smooth, and then we'll be ready to do our string lines and plant some maters. Alrighty, everybody. I've got the pathways raked up. Raked this as smooth as I can get it. It's still got some clods in it, but I don't want to pulverize this ground to death. I just kind of wanted to cultivate. And then when we add the compost on top, this bed will start to really happen. Got it fertilized and ready to string. Alright, I'm up on a ladder. So I'm going to try not to fall and break my neck. If I do, y'all don't laugh at me. If I do, y'all just go ahead and like and subscribe. Now, I'm going to measure about 6 inches off. Tie my first string, run it to the ground, and at the base I'm going to give myself probably about I don't know, 6 or 8 inches of extra space so I can bury the string. There we are, guys. A little bitty visual there of every, I think I did 18 or 19 inches all the way down. Now right here I've ran out of twine, so I got to go get some more twine, but I'm going to go ahead and finish planting and getting this first row. I left some excess string there. I could bury it, bury it, whatever. So we're going to see how this works out. I'm going to go ahead and plant the tomatoes that I can plant, and I'm going to plant the entire row as far as I can go down with basil and marigold. And then I'll just come back tomorrow, run some more strings the same way, and plant the other 20 feet, the other half of this garden with tomatoes. So let me go grab them miters. Walking up into the greenhouse here. I built me a new greenhouse table. Ta-da! As you can see, man, it's hot in here. I'm gonna leave this door open, and I'll get that vent going back, or that fan going back, because you can see on that tray right there a little bit of green. So, want to make sure we get good airflow, even though there are still gaps around the bottom, and of course that, you know, the plastic kind of fell. So, ooh, I'm off. Look at that. Probably trying to eat all my plants. Anyway, so there is ventilation, but I want to get some air movement in here to keep from having those issues. It is currently 86, 87, 88. It's pretty hot. It's only probably like in the 50s outside, if even that. So here are the culprits. This is our tomato plants, our indeterminate tomatoes. So we'll plant these today. Whatever we can plant, come back and finish up with these. Swiss chard, ready to go. Lettuce, starting to germinate. You can see it popping up. Green onion, take a few days. Might be too hot in here. I'm going to have to move those outside. Cilantro. And then here we have bell peppers, and then I have one thing of zucchinis over there for some weird reason. And of course down here I have some more peppers, watermelons, bell peppers, there's our basil, a bunch of cupped up plants that I have ready to give people, cherry tomatoes, radishes, dill, a strawberry, just a bunch of random stuff. But isn't this thing nice? I just used hardware cloth and 2x4s and made a real basic little table there for my trays. And I'm actually going to make some about to 4 inches narrower to just barely fit these trays. And I'm going to put one along that side wall there, and then one along that side wall there. So there I'll triple my space here for seedlings. So let's get these tomatoes out there. There we go. I've got the pots placed out, 18-ish, 19 inches apart, following a string. And now I'm going to bury the tomato and the string to where they work kind of in harmony together and grow together. I did want to quickly showcase what I'm doing. So I'm measuring down, digging a hole, letting the little string go down in there. And I'm just very gently lifting my tomato out and putting it right down on there. Now, as you compact the soil, the string will become tight, and I'll pick off the lower leaves, and then as they grow I'll continue to prune these off, probably up to a foot, but I'm going to let them get some growth on them first. And then, as you can see in this example, I just twist the plant around the string a few times to train it to grow up that string. So you can see all the way down they're trained up. So I'm going to go ahead and get this one buried. I just wanted to show you guys up close. And there we go, everybody. That is our indeterminate tomatoes, interplanted with purple basil, and I put some marigold seed in the ground to kind of germinate. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. All on these 9-foot trellis. It's not even summer yet and it's really hot. Well, there you go. There is planting indeterminate tomatoes, companion planted in the field on trellises. Kind of the lower and lean system, but there's going to be no lowering and no leaning. I don't know what you call it. I guess it's field growing. Anyway, thank you for tuning in. If you liked the video, hit like. If you want to see more, please subscribe. And we will see you guys around next time.